Today I'm going to be showing you the fastest way that you can gain XP here in Space Marine 2. Now I'm going to get straight into the juiciness of this, so if you do enjoy the video, don't forget to drop me a like, comment and subscribe. All of those really help me and the algorithm, so it'd be much appreciated. So, first things first, what is the fastest way? The too long didn't read TLDR version of this is simply going into your console, changing to the highest possible difficulty on Ruthless here, and then going ahead and going into Mission 2. That is because the highest difficulty will give you extra XP, and the second mission is the fastest to complete. Now, getting into this a little bit more, of course, all of these missions are roughly a similar time. This one's just got slightly less objectives, although I've played through a couple of the other ones, number 4, namely here, and that one also didn't seem too quick and was pretty fun. So I guess it depends on what you want to play through. I would recommend doing them all and find your favourite one. And essentially, you're going to want to pick the highest difficulty for the most XP. So as you can see, if we look at the most XP here, we get a reward of 1890 XP at the end of it. If we change back to, let's say, Substantial, which is the one just below this, we're going to get a little bit less XP than that, so we're going to get 1260 at the end of this run. And that is, of course, without any modifiers or extra bonuses that we get, which I'll cover on in just a moment. The second one here, the average threat level, that's going to get us 945. And, of course, the first minimal threat level is going to get us 630. The other thing you want to make note of when you are looking at threat level here is the level requirements. So it says recommended level. You can actually play the hardest difficulty at level 1, but you will struggle with it. Now, these are a rough guide. I would recommend pretty much going straight in on minimal or straight in on average. There's not a lot in it. Maybe play a warm-up game to see how the map runs, what the objectives are, and if you are in a level 1 character, I'd recommend doing a run on minimal threat. But then jump straight into average after that. And then for Substantial and for Ruthless, I found once I hit about level 7, I was fine to jump into Substantial. And once I hit around level 12 to 13, I was fine jumping into Ruthless. If you've got a good squad or a squad of 3 people that are all playing together, you're all in Discord or some sort of communications thing, you'll probably be fine to jump into Ruthless a little bit earlier than that. But if you are playing with random players, do make sure that you've leveled up a little bit, as this might prove to be a bit more of a challenge. As you can see underneath, your first incapacitation inflicts a mortal wound, meaning that you'll have the 60-second respawn timer if you go down more than once, which is quite annoying and makes it quite difficult because the enemies have a ton more health, they do a lot more damage, and it's actually going to be an increased respawn time, so it's not even 60 seconds, it's a little bit longer than that. So it is difficult, but that is the point of it. It is going to give you the most XP. Now, like I said there is modifiers that you can see. All of these different things will give you different amounts of XP, so depending if you've got the most range damage, the most melee damage, the most kills, the most special kills, all of that good stuff that you can see on the end boards, that will give you a little bit of additional XP, 10 XP for each category that you are the leader of, or the highest in your group. And then, of course, you can pick up things around the map, like the seeds, which give you extra XP, as well as the data entries for the armory, which will give you extra armory tokens at the end. Now, again, it's the seeds that you really want, because that's going to give you the XP if you're trying to level up quickly, and you can find these in various locations around the maps, but they are going to give you a pretty substantial boost to XP, so do pick these up and do go for a little bit of an explore if you can, because it is going to make a big difference. Now, the next thing is going to be selecting the mission itself. Operation 2 is what you will see most people recommend if they do make videos on this or kind of write guides on it, anything like that, and that is because this is the quickest to complete in terms of time. Like I said there, I played through the 4th one. It was all pretty straightforward, quite a fun mission, but it does take a little bit of time, especially the final boss is quite tricky. But play through all of them and see which one you find to be the best. If you've got your own team again, or you've got a set route that you know on some of these maps, you might be able to get them done pretty quickly as well. But yeah, the second mission here is going to be by far the fastest that I have found to run this on. Whack it on the highest threat you can do, Substantial or Ruthless, you're going to see the most bonus from this, and you're of course going to want to jump in there and just basically run through to the objective points. If you're trying to speed run it, you want to make sure that your group is happy to do so, and you can just speed run to the objectives in order to complete these. Obviously it will pop up on the screen, tell you what to do. You've got to detonate some charges, then you've got to defend a bridge, and then ultimately slay the Hive Tyrant. So that's kind of the main objectives of the mission, and you can sort of skip past most of the mobs or the enemies in in this area until you get to those points if you do just want to really quickly speed run through. But if you are, of course, wanting to do the full mission, if you're playing with a random group, most players like to complete the full mission. You know, if you're going for the lore of Space Marine 2, of course, you'd be expected to wipe out all of the Tyranid threat here on the mission. So a lot of players want to kill through everything and just make sure that they're getting the most out of the mission. So even if you do that, it's still one of the quicker ones, but of course it's not going to be the optimal speedrun way. However, I think that's much more fun to play it like that, so it's up to you what you want to do, but that would be my recommendation. Play through it at your own pace. Something else that you should also be aware of if you are going to be going for these runs is that you're actually going to want to level up a little bit, and some players are jumping straight into the hardest difficulty. But one thing that's really going to affect you is the perk tree. So you can see on my heavy, I'm level 8, which means that I've got access to these first 7 perks here, and we're about to get this one at level 9. And as you can see, they each do something different. So we've got Restoration, which allows me to restore armor segments, and using something like the Melter, you can easily kill multiple enemies to get that. We've got Thermal Boost. When a ranged weapon is 50% overheated, range damage increased by 15%, good for things like the plasma rifles. You've got the damage of charge attacks increased by 20. Then we've got a team perk, which is all members take 20% less damage from ranged attacks. That's really, really helpful, especially in the harder game modes and the harder difficulties. Iron Halo deactivates, you take 20% less damage for 5 seconds. I also then have Iron Halo's durability increased by 20%, and reviving a squad member fully restores my Iron Halo's charge. So of course, this is just one of the classes. It might be that the class you're leveling up, somebody else is playing, so I would recommend getting a few classes up to that level 5 or 10 mark, and then going into the 3rd difficulty, getting them all up to around level 15, and then jumping into the hardest difficulty, because that will allow you to then pick out a different class if the one that you like to main has been picked by somebody else. Of course, you can just shuffle lobbies or whatever as well, but it's really important to pay attention to the level of your character, because if you try and jump into the hardest difficulty or second hardest difficulty right away on a character, you are going to struggle without the perks, without the gun perks as well. Depending on what gun you've used on other classes, you may have some, but you're not going to have the full effects of this weapon unless you're using the same thing. For example, the multi-melter, I'm pretty sure is only available on the heavy, maybe on one other class, but it depends if I've got that class on. So again, you're going to want to make sure you've leveled up the characters and the guns so that you can make the most out of this, and obviously be able to clear these higher difficulties a lot easier and then get your XP much, much faster. Some people are saying just jump straight in on the hardest difficulty, and if you're a great player, you might be able to succeed, but I did find that particularly challenging myself, and I imagine a lot of players will, because the damage that you receive without the perks is very, very high. Also worth noting that if you are in a solo lobby or private lobby at the moment, you can go ahead and do these trials. You can see here on the heavy, I've completed 1 to 3 star, which got me the A reward, which is all of the coins plus this armory fragment at the top. I've done B on this one, which was just 2 coins, and C on this one, which is just 1 coins. So you can see here you've got the bronze, silver and gold medals. That's going to be something you can get hands on with pretty early doors to get yourself easily a nice amount of these armory tokens and some of the currency that you use to upgrade, and this is across every character that you have the 3 trials available, so make sure you're making the most of those to give your character a little boost as well, so you can jump into maybe the 2nd difficulty almost straight away. What you can use those for is if you kind of go into one of the guns, you can see here you can master a weapon, and that will cost you an armory token if you've got one available, and what that will then do is of course unlock a token to get something from the perk tree with a mastery, so you can start to get some perks on your weapons. Of course, if you've used a different class so the bolt pistol, which I've leveled up here, if I go into my tactical, which I haven't really used at all, but I have got the bolt pistol there, and I am going to have that levels that I've already acquired with it available to use, which, okay, it's not amazing because it's not the main weapon, but it is a little bit of a boost, which means I can probably go straight into that 2nd difficulty and still stand up pretty well against the enemies, which is really, really nice. So that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully this quick guide on how you can level up the fastest to level 25 on each of your characters here in the PvE mode of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 has been useful. If it has, please do drop me a like, a comment and a subscribe. All those things massively help me and the channel out, so I'd much appreciate it. And other than that, I'll catch you again very shortly on a brand new upload, so take care and peace.